Hi there guys, in this video I just want to give you a bit of an update of what's been happening. Now it's been a while since my last video, I must admit. However, that's due because of what's been happening in the world, what's been happening in the house and doing all that up, and also I haven't had particularly much stuff to create content on. Now I know Odyssey came out a little bit ago in alpha state, however I was struggling a lot with it to get anywhere, so I was getting really frustrated with it and I actually stopped playing it for a while. It's because basically when we had phase 1 we was locked into one system, and the system was quite large. It's something like 200 to 300 light seconds big. We couldn't use our own ship, and the missions that we were getting access to didn't tell us how far they were. So if you got a mission that was a very far away, you could spend about 10-15 minutes sitting in a taxi, which was really frustrating. And then after you finally get out of the taxi, you just die in about 2 seconds and you just basically repeat the whole thing. The thing is with that as well, a lot of the missions needed a particular suit, and you couldn't buy the suit without completing a mission. If you were lucky and you somehow got a mission and it gave you enough money and you actually be able to complete it, then you could actually buy the suit. So it was catch-22 with it, and I just got completely stuck with it. I was pretty much just giving up with the whole Odyssey thing at this stage. When phase 2 came about, we got a bit more money and we started having our own ships. That made a bit more of a difference. The balancing is still completely out of whack. And then now we've just gone into phase 3, so things are getting a little bit better. It's a bit more like what you'd have at your end product. Bearing in mind, I know it's still alpha, but it is really needing a lot of work, I feel. There's a lot of balancing issues that need sorting here, and quite a few things that don't make sense. I mean, when we was forced in phase 1 to use taxis, I don't think we'll ever use them again. I can't see why a player would choose a taxi over a ship, and I mean, it doesn't even add up with the cost again with balancing. I mean, a Sidewinder is something like 32,000 credits, whereas the suit costs 150,000. So you can buy a whole starship for the price of a suit. I mean, when I worked out, when you go up the numbers, you can actually buy a Viper Mark III for the same price as one suit. Whether all these numbers will change, I don't know, but they've kind of made the ships too cheap in a sense, and obviously when you start getting into millions and millions it's a bit different scenario, but when you can buy a whole starship for the price of a suit, it seems a bit crazy. Like I said, they've had to try and balance things that don't really make sense. I mean, often you can get a couple of people, NPCs can blow up your ship in seconds with a gun. Yeah, it's been a bit crazy, and like I said, I haven't really felt like pasting content on this at this stage because I haven't really got that far in it myself, and I didn't want to just slag it all down and say it's terrible and all that lot, because it may not be. It's just maybe I'm struggling a lot. It hasn't helped that the frame rate is pretty poor as well, so the whole experience seems poor. You might see the stats at the top, and you can see my 1080 Ti in 4K is absolutely struggling. 100% there, and it's getting about 20 FPS. Obviously it's not in space, it doesn't really struggle, but in these sections it really does get it loaded. Now you can say it's obviously alpha and things will get better. However, this is a kind of public alpha in a sense, so I don't know how far this is going to be changed from the initial release. Obviously we should have beta after this. Are we expecting this to be drastically different between alpha, beta and final release? I don't know. I can only speak from the limited experience I've had with alpha and betas, and I tend to find that alpha and betas don't change too much. There's mostly adjustments to the stats and things like that, and there basically needs quite a lot here. A lot of these missions feel that you can exploit them essentially because you could use a ship sometimes, but I was trying to use a ship to shoot somebody and it just wouldn't target them. I have seen a few YouTube videos where people have used missiles so they don't actually have to target them. I also find that the SRV is pretty good in these missions too, because it allows you to get there much quicker, and you can also target any NPCs from quite a distance and actually pick them off. And when they start to actually chase after you, and obviously in an SRV you can move pretty fast. The only thing is that the SRV does tend to get ripped to shreds when you get too close. I don't understand why essentially. Anyway, so there's quite a lot of balancing issues that need to be done. I do hope this doesn't turn into a kind of power play QCQ or multi-crew feature that basically gets the initial interest and then after time slowly dies away. I mean, we've kind of been able to walk essentially with a SRV on planets for quite a while. Now we can actually go inside certain buildings. Is it just because for these kind of missions they don't at the moment pay particularly well, so I don't know why you'd favour one of these missions over a mission where you can just use your ship. You have actually got the other aspects of the game like trading, fighting and something. I do hope they do add some more ships, and I do hope they're not locked behind the 2 new ranks that we've got, so basically forcing us to grind ranks through these missions so we can unlock some new ships or SRVs and things like that. There's been a few comments about a new SRV or something that could be in the game. I do hope they haven't locked something like a Panther Clipper or something behind those and you have to grind those ranks to get that ship, although I wouldn't be surprised with Frontier, to be honest. I will persevere with this and see how it goes. Hopefully, like I said, I can actually post some videos on it and try and explain how things work a bit easier. You shouldn't probably have the same problem I did with our phase 1, because you will have more money to start with. You have your account balance what you've got at the moment, and in phase 1 when you start with 50,000 credits you couldn't afford anything, and at that point you couldn't afford to buy the stuff to complete the missions, but you couldn't complete the missions without the stuff. So it was a bit of a messed up situation, and that's not going to happen in the final release. So you may have also seen that I've been working on the X4 site. I'm quite impressed with what the Egosoft have been doing. They've plugged away and actually improved it quite a lot. I also got the Farm and Legend site to make. That'd be interesting. The expansion to X3, I don't know if it's really Albatron, really. I think it's just expansion to kind of Terran Conflict. But yeah, I've got that site to build, and hopefully that will go pretty well. So I said, if my code is good enough, it should just pick up all the new information and put it all out. So we should have a full site covering Farland's Legends, hopefully. That's due out in a couple of weeks now. Anyway guys, I hope you're all doing great. I'll speak to you soon. Take care and have fun out there.
Objective failed. Shield deactivated. Mission objective failed. Warning. Warning. Vital signs weak. Mission objective failed. Mission. That's it.